Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today, we are talking Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1?
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
I don't know. I've seen volume, part. I don't know.
I've seen everything. Anyway, I'm Ravi, joined by
Arjuna.
And
Krishna.
Wow, what an intro. Just slide. I mean, I would slide in if I could, but then we'd have to change the whole set again.
You're thinking about it.
I am actually. Now we have to do slide-ins. Wait, could we? Wait, okay.
Put casters on the chairs.
Could we? Exactly. Like, you know, like those like elevator things that they have?
Elevator things.
Like the elevator chairs for like when you get older. Could we put those on the floor?
The
Just,
ones that go upstairs? For
Yeah, but
people with disabilities that need it?
Yes. We would just
buy
it.
Hey, I got a brand new idea. We do the whole podcast, but we're all on one wheels.
Oh my God, we'd have so many injuries.
Yeah, it would
It'd
be
be
like,
boats.
welcome to ow. Hold on, I gotta get back up.
ow, fuck.
I mean, that's all. I mean, you've seen like
I have a
YouTubers.
concussion.
You've seen YouTubers, right? Like they're on their one wheels with their gorilla pods and their cameras and like, hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. And you've never, I don't think you've ever seen them just flat crash and break their collarbones.
I mean, there's
Yes, you
probably
have.
find that.
Yeah,
Casey,
you could definitely find that.
Casey Neistat. I can't say his name. I don't know how to say his last name, but big YouTuber. He was on a one wheel and he fell and broke his collarbone. I don't know why we're talking about this. Anyway, Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1, or Volume 1, or the first 7 episodes, or
That's the most accurate. That is the first 7
the first 7 episodes. How did everyone? How did you guys like it, or did like it? Let's give one word impressions. Christian, you start.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, my one word impression is going to be, wow, why didn't I think about this before? It's going to be surprised. I feel like I just stole Arjuna's, actually. I think Arjuna gave that one word in our text thread. I was surprised by how much, first of all, how quickly the show pulled me back in. And secondly, surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Spoiler alert. So for the first point, I really thought I was done with Stranger Things, at least like emotionally, like on an emotional level. Like, you know, I'm not going to invest more than I have to after I think season 2 or 3. Season 2 and 3 kind of blend together for me. I can't really remember them that well. And I was like, oh, it's whatever, you know, I don't care, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then as soon as that theme song started, that iconic, creepy 80s style synth heavy theme song started on episode 1, I was like, oh yeah, damn, you know, with that red and those titles, I was pulled back in immediately. I was like, oh yeah, you know what, I got some nostalgia from season 1. I was like, yeah, there were some good things about this. And then the season started and I was like, it pulled me right back in. I was right back in that world. I remembered everything I loved about Stranger Things, and this season felt nostalgic for me. It felt closer to season 1 than it did 2 or 3.
Wait, real quick.
So, yeah, I was surprised.
Wait, so nostalgic to you in terms of Stranger Things, or like nostalgic in terms of like the 80s that you were barely awake for?
For Stranger Things. Unfortunately, I was born in 87, so I don't have a real strong memory of the 80s.
Wow.
I don't remember aliens and you know, ripped up jeans and cool hairstyles. I don't remember that stuff.
I'm sorry.
Christian, weren't you born bald?
Lame.
Like you've never had hair before?
Unfortunately, I was born with so much hair.
Let's dive into that. Christian being born with hair. That's what we're going to talk about.
Doesn't seem
today.
The most hair burns the brightest.
The most hair burns the brightest.
That's why I have none.
Wait, is that
it burned off?
That sounds like a thing. Is that a thing? That's a thing, right?
Michael just said it.
No, I know he said, but
Not
is
for
it-
hair.
now a
It's
thing.
like love. Like the strongest loves burns brightest and quickest. Or
Gotcha.
stars or something. I don't know.
Gotcha. I'm going to
Stars.
say
I think
the
it's
hair
stars.
there now. That the hair,
Brighter, the
hair.
faster they burn.
Christian, I want to break down Krishna's one-word impression and his entire monologue right there, because he said a couple of things that stood out. Number 1, he said season 2 and 3 of Stranger Things blended together. I would like to start by saying, the fuck is wrong with you?
Well,
Season 2.
simply, put it this way.
Hold on.
Actually,
Christian.
no. I think the best way I can put it is this: I have really good memories of season 1,
Sure.
and I barely remember 2 and 3.
But Christian, season 2, I guess it's surprising that you say they blend together because season 2 was such a shit season compared to like 3. Like 3 was way better. Because I remember having this conversation with you all where it's like, why
3
would
was
you,
better.
Right, yeah,
3
yeah,
was
but,
better.
Right,
but
because,
it wasn't
because
that
of like
much better.
because of one thing, and this ties into season 4, part 1, volume 1, first 7 episodes, whatever the fuck we're calling it. Is that in season 2 they separated the kids, right? The main characters, they were all off doing their own fucking. You're over here, you're over there, you're over there, you're over there, whatever. Season 3, they were all much more interconnected in terms of what they were doing.
Somewhat, yeah.
It was more connected like season 1, and season 4 part whatever. Same
Kept them
problem.
separated.
Yeah, I think it's doing the same problem that it's doing with season.
Why is that a problem?
Because look at Arjuna's.
It wasn't done well in season 2.
Look at
but
Arjuna's
I would say it was done.
Arjuna's outline that he put in our document. Here, I'll put it up somewhere.
I made an outline.
He made an outline. He even says like Team Hawkins, Team California, Team Russia.
Yeah.
Right, like they're all doing separate things and like
They're teams.
They're teams.
You know, you do realize it's like 13. It's like a cast of like 13 or 14 people.
Keep them all together.
It's
and
a-
So
That's
having
on
them all
every
together
episode.
would be complicated.
So the
at
Duffer
the very
Brothers,
least.
the Duffer Brothers did an interview and they talked about the ever growing cast and actually described the Stranger Things as. I think that they did this when season 3 came out. So this is before or like right as Game of Thrones ended, but they described it as Game of Thrones-esque in terms of the sprawling ensemble cast where there are all these storylines that you're jumping around, but they all come back together in some way, shape, or form. I think what I'm most offended at with Krishna saying season 2 and 3 blended together was, I remember specifically, it was, the summer of 2019, we all watched Stranger Things together in like a day. And
We did?
Krishna doesn't remember that. Yeah, we watched it in like 2 days at the old Mid-City in Carson.
Oh, the place that's now up for foreclosure.
The
Well, let me ask
foreclosed.
you this,
our
Trina.
foreclosed.
Let me
I'm
ask
offended.
you
I'm
this.
offended.
How hungover was I, or drunk?
You this was during your year of sobriety.
Because I believe
I don't
that
remember
season
that.
season came out around or on July 4th.
yes,
that
yes,
weekend
yes.
of
Yeah, it was that whole like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
enjoy
So
the summer
And we
That's your first problem
we
right
watched
there.
it,
I was
yeah.
drunk.
because it was July 4th.
I know. I was still surprised. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. The end.
Well, actually, you know what? I would like to have used the word surprise for my one-word impression too, because it was actually Krishna who suggested that we even talk about Stranger Things. Because I had suggested, I think I said like let's do Top Gun or something, or like just general
This week,
news this
right.
week. And Christian was the one that was like, no, let's do Stranger Things. So that
I just had a feeling
surprised.
that it would be more relevant or talked about. Maybe I don't know. It was just more of a.
had
gut
you
thing.
seen anything of Stranger Things season 4 at
No.
that point? Wow.
Nothing?
Wow, he
no.
used the Force.
Well, we
Well,
had
maybe.
told him to watch it, and then after he'd started watching it, he said, "Let's do it this weekend."
No, he hadn't watched
No,
it.
no, no.
point.
That was before. Yeah, I said we should do it before. Because I was like, if I'm going to invest, I think part of it too is like, if I'm going to invest 2 or 3 days of my life, like 10 hours of viewing this, I'm like, we better do a pod on this. I'm not going to watch this for nothing.
Well, Ravi and I had already watched it before you watched it. I watched it
Yeah.
a little while.
Well, I had started,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So I was like, we put in all this time, we might as well do a pod on it.
that makes sense. Juno, what's your one-word impression?
Mine is scary.
You were scared?
Mm.
Did you do the typical Arjuna eyes and ear cover thing?
Yeah. So, spoiler alert for those who haven't watched this season, but the big bad, the way he kills his victims, he makes them float into the air, and then they kind of
Bad CGI.
implode.
Bad
Their
CGI.
heads crunch.
There's a lot of
And their
crunching
arms do
noises.
this.
Yeah, and it's a little scary to me.
You know what that looks like, Christian?
The
when you-
cactus
when
from
you do
Final
that?
Fantasy.
Well,
What's that?
Christian, this move that remember that Key and Peele sketch where they're doing the dancing,
Oh, the
And he-
80s aerobic.
the aerobics,
jazzercise.
jazzercise. That's
Yeah.
what that looks like. So they were jazzercising themselves to death.
Ugh.
Oh, I mean, that's possible.
80s thing to do.
Damn.
So yeah, I would
Oh,
say
God.
I would say scary. This season, Stranger Things has always had a horror element to it. but I would say this season to me was a little bit scary. I thought the Vecna was scary. This whole
Question: do you find Vecna or number 1 scarier? Because I found number 1.
I mean, he's creepy.
Scary.
You do realize they're the same person. So
I get that they're the same
Spoilers,
person.
Krishna.
I get that they're the same person, but any interaction that he had with 11, actually, you know what? The other thing that was scary was the de-aging of 11. That was creepy.
Yeah, that
I
was
did not like that.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
They
They-
only did it for like select scenes. It wasn't
Yeah.
the entire. Like they kind of made her the age, but then when they did like the wider shots,
But then when you realize
made her
like
short and
number
it's
1
weird.
was talking to like, I don't know, 5-6-year-old, like that's when I was
yeah,
like, this
it's
is
creepy.
and I found that scarier than Vecna. Vecna, I was like, cool, give me that all day. Creepy number 1 talking to a 5-6-year-old, that shit was creepy. Very
They
creepy.
got an
Yeah.
actress to play young Elle.
Oh, and then just did the whole face swap.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but
Yeah,
there's
they
an
did the-
actress
they did
credited.
Yeah, well,
face
it's
swap.
definitely CGI face swapped, and it doesn't look great.
So
Doesn't look
Mark
the
Hamill
best.
de-aging.
They didn't use that studio or that guy, that
Yeah,
YouTuber,
it's worse
right?
than
It's a
that,
YouTube
yeah.
guy that did it.
Well,
Or for Book of
He was hired. I don't know if he actually ended up working specifically on that project,
but yeah, I will say, yeah, it was scary. I had nightmares.
did you really?
Yeah, I had
About
one.
Vecna?
Maybe I don't know if it's specifically Vecna, but just horror-esque after watching
Tentacles?
Stranger Things.
Vecna is the big bad of the first campaign for
Correct.
Vox Machina on
Right.
Critical Role.
Yeah, they use a lot of D&D terms
Right, of
for
course.
Stranger Things for the enemies, because Dustin is normally the one that gives kind of the like exposition of like, this is what this is in comparison to D&D is what they're playing. So that's why they dubbed him
Vecna.
Yeah,
He's a dark
that's super
sorcerer.
interesting because they're playing a specific campaign and from D&D, and the main bad of that campaign, this is obviously based in the 80s, is Vecna. So I wonder if it's like, Michael, maybe you know, is the Vox Machina enemy or big bad Vecna an original character for that campaign, or do you think they brought that in from an actual 80s module?
Vecna's a very famous. Like Brunar, Battlehammer, and
Gotcha.
Jordyin. He's a known big bad.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Y'all,
Same with
y'all a bunch
same
of
with
nerds.
the first season. The Demogorgon is some fiend from like the 8th level of whatever that place is called
Wait,
in
are
D&D.
you, wait, Demogorgon is not
No,
original to
no,
Stranger
no,
Things?
None of the
Nothing
enemy
in the
terms.
original-
Mind Flayer, Demogorgon.
The Mind Flayer.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did
Yeah,
not
it's
know
all
that.
Oh yeah.
D&D.
The
It's all
Demogorgon
D&D.
is a tentacle-armed
was
monkey
This age when
combination
I
demon.
discerned.
Actually, I
Lard
think
olive.
D&D's recent resurgence probably has a lot to do with Stranger Things.
Yeah, you can even run Mike's campaign. They have it on D&D Beyond.
Oh, that's
we are
From the
not
first
sponsored,
season.
by the way, by D&D Beyond. We are sponsored
We
by
should
the
be.
subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe.
And like this video too, if you like what
Or
we have to
else.
say. Even if you don't like what we have to say, like the button. Hit
We're-
the button that likes.
Man, wow, this is like when I learned that guacamole doesn't
Oh,
come from
God.
a plant, and avocado and peppers and onions. It's the
You
same
We
idea.
didn't realize guacamole was made from avocado.
Yeah,
I thought they were separate.
I thought they were two separate things.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, in fairness, I was born in England, and then we live in New Hampshire. Those areas don't really have a lot of guacamole, if any, at all. So
I
that's
love
fair.
that.
That's fair.
I was raised in New Hampshire.
I was
know
raised.
nothing.
I was raised in the woods.
I know more about woods and trees. Actually, that's
Do
not
you
true.
though?
Actually, I don't.
Yeah.
I have two palm trees in the front, and they're also both dying.
Very good.
This money tree, this is dying. That plant looks like it's dying. Everything is dying.
The fake one isn't, though. Good job there.
Thank you.
Imagine if it was. Like, imagine if you had somehow killed a fake plant.
Like Megatron killed it.
Like you just
Oh,
bit
that'd be
into it.
disturbing, actually.
Ravi, what's your one-word impression?
Oh man, it's going to be
Is it gonna be strange?
consequences.
Consequences.
Like that Key and Peele sketch. Consequences.
And I say consequences because Why am I saying consequences? That's a great question right there. No, I'm saying
There's a consequence to saying
there's a consequence to saying consequence. No, I'm saying that because number one, like in the show, again, like Arjun did a good job of outlining, like we have different groups doing different things. You know, hopefully what each group is doing will affect the other. I think really at the end, big spoiler, obviously at the end, the big twist, if you will, the big reveal that Vecna is actually number one. And you know, it hasn't been said in the show, but you know, I'm gonna say it right now. 11 punching number one through the wall and doing whatever. It looks like she essentially created the Upside Down by putting number one in this dimension or whatever.
Oh, I got the impression she didn't create it.
So I got the impression she did.
Opened up a gate that she opened up she sent him through, like, she ripped a hole in
something
physical reality and then just sent him through it.
Because that's what she did in season 1. That's how the Demogorgon gets.
No,
that's the whole,
I get that, but what I mean by that is like, so this space, right? We'll call it the space for right now, which is like this world or whatever. She sent number one there, and then lightning and the Upside Down, right? And then lightning and everything is transforming him. And then you have the
Mind Flayer?
No, not the Mind Flayer. The group that ends up in the Upside Down.
Oh, the older teenagers.
The older teenager team. The older teenagers end up in the Upside Down.
The horny teens.
The horny teens. And what's her face finds her journal, right? Where there's the dates and everything has only been listed up to a certain point.
Right.
Essentially,
like 5 years before.
Right. So essentially the Upside Down only kind of gets new information or changes when breaches are opened. Right. So the world itself doesn't actually change or do anything until there's kind of an interaction from the main world. So
I see what you're saying.
The way I looked at it was the fact that one was pushed into this space. That's when the Upside Down became the Upside Down, because
the Hawkins version of it.
Exactly. Like, it started because he was there and he was influencing it. And then from that point to the present in Stranger Things, you have all these changes because there are breaches in space, time, whatever. So the Upside Down only exists because of the real world and 11.
But if that was consequences. But if that was true,
sure.
Right? So when they go in season 4, it's from 83, the day that Will disappears in season 1.
Right.
They've been to the Upside Down since then, so then according to your theory, it should have updated since they entered at
That's
that
a whole
point.
new theory.
They've already entered past season 1 when Will got lost there.
So again,
they talk specifically about guns in shoeboxes.
Hold on a sec. Again, I don't know why that was in there, which was interesting, especially around the events that happened in previous weeks. But again, to the creators of this show, they're not the most reliable in remembering their own show. And for example, Arjuna pointed this out earlier today before we started. There is a character named Will, who in season 1, was it season 1? Who has a birthday, March 22nd. And if you look at season 4, we see when Elle is being harassed by stupid-ass teenagers, the video camera has the date, March
22nd.
March 22nd. And the, was it the Duffer?
The Duffer Brothers admitted. So
guys, come on. That is meant to show that his friends all forgot.
No. So that's what the internet wanted, but the Duffer Brothers said, we'll be honest, we completely forgot when his birthday was.
Oh, man.
That's our bad.
And it's funny, you said earlier, too, you said that the Duffer Brothers have said, like, oh, it's kind of like Game of Thrones with the cast. No, do not compare yourself to fucking Game of Thrones, because then this shit is going to end terribly.
Horribly.
And I'm going to be writing a very wordy written letter to you.
A wordy written.
Are you going to put that up on the blog?
No.
Write the letter.
That should be a great blog.
Dear
Yes,
Duffer
the
Brothers.
Dear Duffer Brothers.
Dear Duffer Brothers, you suck.
I hate you. You
All
ruined my
whole
childhood and my
new
life.
blog idea for wasagood.info. Ravi writes letters to the creators of his shows that he.
I love
like
that
the
idea.
ending. So you should write one to the Game of Thrones creators,
Right.
George R.R. Martin for never finishing the book. So
he's not done yet.
but at least so far.
So I'll wait
before
until
the-
he,
before
like,
the show.
inevitably is like, I'm never writing them, or he passes on, and then I'll write the letter.
That'll go down well.
Well, Ravi, Game of Thrones was headed the show by two men with D as their last name.
Yes,
and Stranger
Ds.
Things is also helmed by two men with D as
Pen
their last
names.
name.
They're the same people.
Coincidence? I don't
Coincidence.
think so.
That's
There's no such thing
interesting.
as
That's
coincidence.
interesting.
D&D ran Game of Thrones. D&D runs Stranger Things.
D&D runs our lives.
Wait, is D&D the part of the lizard group that runs the world? So the Elon Musks of the world and the Mark Zuckerbergs?
we are off the rails.
Yes, we are. We're so off the rails.
Good lord.
This is Sunday energy.
This is
This is very
post
Sunday.
coffee and
Pre-coffee?
I don't know.
Pre-blind
This is-
Canaan.
This is
Starbucks.
9 a.m. energy.
Well, 10 a.m. for you.
I know. I did the math.
Yeah, I did the math. Anyway, let's get back on the rails by going off the rails with Arjuna's DVD chapter listing.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's short though.
It's nice and
It is
short.
short.
It's nice and short. And Arjuna didn't really just call them strictly DVD chapter listings. He called them, or he did. He called them actual chapters.
Well, because in the show it's they go chapter
one, yeah.
it's something. So I just
Yeah.
mimicked that with there's 7, so I did 7 chapters.
Excellent.
Oh, for each episode.
For each
Yeah,
episode, yeah.
pretty much.
So basically, I wouldn't call it DVD chapter listing. I would call it Arjuna rebranding.
Straight episode.
Rebrand. And Krishna Krishna's going to actually read these out for us, and Krishna is going to do it in the style of, because the Queen is celebrating her 70th Jubilee. I don't know what that means. Krishna will be doing it in the voice of the Queen. Go ahead, Krishna.
Oh. Wait, Arjuna, what was that? Oh.
That's the Queen. Oh, hello.
Oh.
I am the Queen.
I'm the Queen of England.
Do the wave.
Okay. Arjuna's DVD chapter listing.
Krishna, if it's too difficult, you can also do it as Sean Bean saying, "For England, James."
For England, James. No. Yeah. Sean Bean, that's cool.
All right. So Sean Bean is the Queen, is what we've determined right now.
Sean Bean as the Queen?
Yeah, do
Oh,
Sean
yes.
Bean's impression of the Queen, or what you think Sean Bean's impression of the Queen would be.
All right, here we go. Slow-mo everywhere. The Hops Alive. Nightmare in Hawkins. Max versus the World. That bitch, Martin Brenner. I don't want any questions on Watergate. 1 is the loneliest number. That last one was a banger. Well done.
That was good. That was good. This is actually a pretty good rebranding, I think.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. I would imagine if they actually like put these as the chapters as opposed to whatever they put. I actually don't even know what each episode's called. Does anybody?
Yeah, like they're sort of descriptive. They're just like,
But I mean, they're not like Max versus the world.
no, it's like the Hawkins massacre, like the Hawkins.
Oh
Lab
yeah,
massacre.
the last one, which
Uh,
I was expecting a massacre and nothing
yeah.
happened. So
Well, it's talking about the massacre you saw in episode 1, where one kills everyone.
yeah, but that was in the past.
lab.
And no one.
That's the central theme of the episode.
Gotcha. Actually, real quick, one is obviously manipulates 11, gets the little chip removed. That chip is obviously going to be important in terms of how to end him, right?
Maybe.
Or do you think it's just
Wait,
going to be
how so?
a psychic battle? Because remember, the
Yeah.
chip in the thing in his neck obviously dampened or stopped all of his powers.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So-
so that you're thinking they put it back in or something. So like
Right.
maybe 11.
Because Father or Papa or whatever his name is,
Papa.
Papa.
Dr. Martin Brenner.
I mean, I it's also
No, it's
interesting too
Papa.
because like I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, he's actually not really bad then."
Well, I mean, it's interesting if you kind of view him in the prism of this episode, of this season. He has a conversation with 11 where he's like, the world's not so black and white. There's not good and bad. There's
That's exactly
People-
what a bad person.
but there's
says.
people that do things. But I think that makes a more compelling villain, right? A villain who just kind of twirls their mustache. He's like, I'm evil. Isn't as compelling as a villain, who has motivations and doesn't view themselves as bad, right? Most
Right.
bad people don't view themselves as bad people. And I think he doesn't view himself necessarily as like the worst person on the planet. Like he thinks what he's doing is right. And like, if you look at it in the context of 1, he was right to put the chip in him because, one's kind of a psychopath. Now, he still does bad things.
Right.
He's not necessarily
Yeah.
the most morally good guy. But there's layers to him, which makes for an interesting character.
Like an onion.
Yes.
You mean like
Shrek.
Shrek?
Yes.
Yeah, Shrek. Yes.
Onion. Like an ogre.
What if
ogres are like
What
onions.
if Shrek is the real big
Oh
bad?
man, I was trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for the rest of this Sunday. I'm gonna watch all the Shrek movies.
What the fuck?
It's a lot.
Well, I mean, the
Make
game,
sure
the
you,
game's not until what 5:30.
6.
The Celtics versus.
Oh,
the
you're gonna watch the
Warriors.
game?
Maybe, and by watch I mean check the score on Google every now and again.
Cool. Wow, not even
works
Yahoo
too.
Sports mobile app, huh?
Moving on. Jesus Christ, Judah.
They're not my employee.
Wow. Anywho, where are we going? Okay, so they're basically everyone splits up. Everyone's doing their own thing. And Arjuna put it nicely. There's Team Hawkins, which consists of Steve, Nancy, Robin, Lucas, Max, Dustin. And then there's Team California, which consists of Will, Mike, Jonathan, Argyle. Is it Argyle or
Argyle.
Argyle?
Yep.
Interesting
Nailed it.
name. 11, and then there's Team Russia, which is everybody else.
Maury.
Maury.
What's Winona
Hopper.
Ryder's character's name again?
We'll just call her Ryder.
Wait, what is her name?
Wow, I'm like completely blanking right now.
And then
Just
Hop.
Winona Ryder. Just Miss Ryder.
Miss
Winona.
Ryder. Miss Ryder is there. Hop, and then everyone's new favorite Russian guy from
Yeah.
Game
of Thrones, yeah.
Oh my
The
god.
man with no name. Or
Yeah.
man with no face.
Man with no face.
name.
Man with no face.
Yeah.
He's great. By the
Clint
way.
Eastwood.
Jack and Hagar?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
He was the best. He might be the best addition to the.
Well,
Stranger
Enzo,
Things.
right?
Enzo.
Or
And yeah, is it Enzo?
no.
no.
Well, that's his that's the code name that they
Yeah.
used.
But that's what they
I don't know if we actually know his name.
that's what they call him
yeah.
throughout.
Hmm.
But
And
I
then
don't know if we
calls,
actually
he
learned
calls.
his-
What was he called? Hop.
You American bastard.
The American.
yeah, yeah.
But everyone's been comparing his character to everyone else's favorite Russian from I think was it season 2,
3.
3.
The
yeah.
guy who dies.
The guy who dies. Yeah. Everyone thinks he's not.
I hope
gonna
he doesn't.
I really do too, because he has a family and kids,
Right.
and he doesn't like Russia. So
And he's great.
that's
He's
a pro.
He's a lot of fun.
He has a lot of fun. Yeah. You should
Anyway,
stick
so who's enjoying whose group the most?
Actually,
around. Ooh.
for me, Team Hawkins all the way. I
Team
think
Hawkins?
that's the most interesting storyline.
Is that because of Steve and Nancy? Wink, wink.
No, I just think
Wow.
it feels like a lot of the central action is still happening in Hawkins, right?
Which
In
makes
terms
sense.
of-
Yeah.
In terms of with Vecna attacking the people there, so I think that is the most, to me, narratively interesting
Piece.
part of the story. And it has some of my favorite characters. Steve, Dustin. I thought Max got a really good spotlight. Early mid season when she was possessed. I thought that stuff was really great. And even the Steve Nancy stuff is interesting and
I thought the stuff with Lucas was really cool
yeah.
too.
And I like the new guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? You just said it. The
Max?
no
No.
not Argyle's Team California. The guy with the longer hair.
The DM. He's the DM.
who stayed
I
back
forget his
3
name.
years.
Is it
Stay
Freddie?
back 3 years.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I have this thing called IMDb.
Imdb.
Imdib.
Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah,
There we go.
Eddie.
Eddie.
I really like Eddie. I think Eddie's an interesting character. They could you spend a lot of time with him early in the season, obviously, and he's kind of cool.
He's kind of cool.
Yeah,
No, he's
my
not
friend.
cool. That's what makes him
No,
cool.
he's my friend.
I also think it's kind of interesting with the stuff that's happening in Hawkins, where we see that the sheriff and the police and everything, they're trying to maintain control, but then you have the jocks, if you will, the are basically kind of taking on and getting the town ready to essentially go after anyone that likes D&D. And there is factual things around that,
Yeah.
especially in small
It's
towns.
based on the scare. The scare.
Yeah,
of
there was a
that
big
time period.
Yeah, there was a big scare that D&D and this idea of
Satanic cults.
yeah, which is weird because
Satanic Panic, it was called. I
Satanic
remember it. I
Panic.
lived through it.
Oh.
which is crazy
Yeah.
because we spin up D&D campaigns all the time. I'm trying to get this cannibal one, which when you think about it, is really fucked up. By the way, D&D campaign. This
You know what I
Friday.
liked? You know what I liked? I think the most, or I thought I'm glad that they did what they did with the Hawkins is keeping the two sheriffs and showing that they are a little bit lost without Hopper's direction.
Yeah.
Hop's direction.
Yeah.
You know, and I liked that. You know, it wasn't a huge part, but you got to see how they're trying to fill that vacuum. You know, of that leadership role that's now gone, and they're gotta think of things like on the fly. I liked that they were dealing with their own stuff. It didn't take away it didn't take time away from anything. But it was there. It was like them dealing with that leadership vacuum.
Yeah, I do like the world building that Stranger Things has done, specifically within Hawkins. Like the sheriff characters that Christian mentioned have been around since season 1, and so
Yeah.
you know,
Isn't one of them from The Wire?
No, I don't think so.
But like, it's interesting because like you have like all the parents as well who've been around for a long time. You have like
what's his
Lucas's
face?
sister who's been around for a couple seasons now, and so they've done a good job build. I think that's also probably why it's my favorite. All these other locations are new, and there's more new characters there with like
Russia,
just less stakes.
Russia, like
you know?
Russia's a really good example where you're introduced to a new character almost every episode, and then by the end, they're all dead.
Yeah, and it's just like, and
I like that.
and you know, part of it is also like we only got 7 of the 9 episodes, so like you hope at least that you know these will all connect back together, but like the Russia storyline hasn't necessarily connected to the larger narrative yet. The California narrative has definitely not connected to any narrative yet. In fact, in the last episode, they're not even in the episode. So like we've been,
yeah, that's right.
We've been away from them for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, once 11 leaves, I think we get 3 scenes with them over like 3 episodes.
I'll say
It's
definitely
pretty
like
short.
Team California is definitely the weakest for sure.
Yeah, and just interesting choices like just Jonathan, who's was a huge character in the first 3 seasons, is kind of relegated to comic relief as like a pothead.
Which is interesting too, because like wasn't the actor caught with
something?
weed or
He was
something,
caught with something, and people were like,
I think it's caught with coke.
Is he being punished like by the writers?
Well, then what about all the like Eleven's love interest? What's his face?
11's Mike.
Mike, like Mike, and then
Right, Mike, who was a lot of people viewed as the main character in the early seasons, has really been kind of sidelined,
pushed off. Yeah,
which is also
Maybe that's why I like this season more.
actually, I would argue like if you look at the original 5, right? The original 5 cast, including 11, so the four friends and then 11. 11 plays a heavy role obviously in this season, and then I would say the next one is Dustin, and then Lucas, and then I would say like
of the original.
But
there are other like Max plays a bigger role than most
plays a
of
much
them.
bigger one.
Steve plays a big role in this season.
I like that. I like that though, just because it makes the season feel different than the other ones.
Right.
Like that's to me like I think why it stands out more.
How do you think though? Like as like these individuals are all like kid actors, right? Like or child actors or whatever, and now like they're now. I think all of them are, in their early adult stages.
I think they're
of
all
life.
around like 18,
Like late
19,
teens,
20.
Yeah. I wonder how they feel though, like not being the prominent, actor. Like I'm always curious, like in Hollywood, like how does that like affect
What, the
things?
ego?
Yeah, the
Like
egos
how
and stuff.
how the egos
because
handle that?
you would say that Billy. What's her name? Billy Bob Brown? No.
Billy Bob Brown.
Billy
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
But
as
the actress
11.
that plays 11, like she's definitely gotten the most attention spotlight on her, and she seems like she's done the most in terms of bigger roles since Stranger Things started.
Godzilla.
Yeah, she was in Godzilla. That's a huge.
That's all I like.
They've all done some stuff. Like even the actor that plays
Yeah.
Mike, like he was in Ghostbusters and he was in like a couple horror movies as well. So like
Yeah.
they all have good careers. Like the actress that plays Max was in a Taylor Swift video, like a really popular one recently.
Arjun, are you a Taylor Swift fan?
No, but when I was doing my research, like that kept popping up on Google.
Arjun
like
is a Taylor Swift fan. It has been
I
announced here.
do not like Taylor
today
Swift.
on June
Fifth.
something.
Fifth.
5th. Yes. today's the 5th.
2022.
2022.
Just to go back to Ravi's original question of which group was the favorite, I think I'm gonna say 11. I know she was sort of Team California, right? And then she branched
in the
off.
first 2, right? And then
Yeah.
she's really by
Yeah.
herself. And
When-
sorry, go ahead.
And actually, it was honestly like my least favorite until the last episode, until we got that twist. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was completely surprised when it was revealed that one was who he was,
The
and then
loneliest
one
number.
was also Vecna. I was like, 2 twists. I was like, oh my god!
Wait, you didn't see that coming?
I did not see it coming.
I think it was after like the second interaction between 11 and 1. I was like, oh, this is the main baddie. And like
Yeah.
Vecna
the
is
main
not,
baddie.
Yeah,
you
like
really got
Vec-
that.
like-
That's
like-
crazy.
because it was. Here's the thing with like TV shows and movies. Like for the most part, they kind of follow a similar formula because
Agreed.
like you don't want to go too off the beaten path because then your audience is like, this is too confusing. So like Vecna can't just be a random thing, right? It has to connect.
Why not though? But like
Because
the bad guys from the first 3 seasons
Right.
are just monsters. That's why it took me for a left turn. Like
Right.
Vecna to me represents something that we haven't seen before.
A
which is
humanized monster.
a human
I guess-
becoming a monster.
Sure.
The other thing is I thought they did a good job of disguising it. Like for the whole season, you're like 11 committed the massacre.
Oh, that
massacre.
the massacre.
Massacre.
You from Boston?
Massacre.
And so to me, that was like great masking because I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, first of all, how did she do that? Why did she do it? You know, so the twist that she didn't do it, and then the other 2 twists after that, like blew my mind because I just didn't see it coming because it was new stuff that we haven't seen in Stranger Things before.
So
Yeah, I think
the
I've-
reason I say that it wasn't a surprise is because I've watched a lot of sci-fi in my life. Like Stargate is a really good example, I think, of
Everyone took Wild.
well, like there's always like a bigger bad or there is a connected bad guy because that's how you continue a story. Is like there's always somebody behind the curtain. Like Wizard of Oz, actually, I think is the first mainstream thing where it's like there is somebody literally behind the curtain.
Is that where the term comes from?
Behind the curtain?
Like, is that originates from Wizard of Oz? Because
I mean, maybe.
Behind
I mean,
the curtain.
it would make sense. Maybe we just
No.
discovered something.
Or theater.
Here. Or theater, yeah.
Yeah.
the theater.
No, Ravi, that's a fantastic point. And you're absolutely right. I just didn't expect it to be this aide, right?
Wow.
That was presented for most of the season. This creepy aide person, who I
Creepy
just
aide-
thought was kind of a loser, you know?
By the way, I think the actor is also in Game of Thrones, I think.
He's most famous for Harry Potter. He played young Grindelwald in the flashbacks in the Deathly Hallows, and then he was in
Arjuna, I don't know anything you just said. Who's Grindelwald? What is that?
Dumbledore's enemy.
Dumbledore's enemy.
slash
Lover.
creepy
Most
lover.
friend-
Lover.
Yeah, most famously portrayed by Johnny Depp in the second.
You know, I've
Fantastic
seen
Beasts
the
movie.
last Fantastic
The
Beasts.
third one.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, like I literally saw it when it was in theaters.
The Secret
saw
to
it all.
Dumbledore.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, I don't know what it was about. I have no idea.
It was about secrets
Wow.
of Dumbledore.
I just
Ravi,
remember,
were you high?
maybe I remember Ezra Miller was in it, and
It's very clear they cut out a lot of his scenes.
I mean, can I give you a big spoiler?
I've seen.
Yeah.
it.
I'm not going
Can I
to say it.
spoil it for everyone that's listening in this room right now? Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Michael, you're cool with that?
Oh yeah, sure, fine.
Ezra Miller is the nephew of Dumbledore.
Yeah, that was revealed in
That's
the last
all?
movie, Ravi.
Oh,
Well, it was
never mind.
it's revealed.
Whoops.
It's revealed he's this. They think he's the son, but he's actually the nephew. Is what's revealed in this.
Oh, that's right.
How
it was
can it be
revealed that
the
he was a
son?
Dumbledore.
Well,
But
one of the
I thought it was a
one of the
brother. For some
characters,
reason, I thought it was a
Grindelwald
brother.
tells Ezra Miller's character, "You're the son of Dumbledore," but in this one, they're like, you're not his son. You're his brother's
See,
son."
again, I don't even
Which makes
remember
him
that
his
from the
nephew.
second one. I actually didn't even realize this was the third one in that trilogy.
Neither did they. But so to go back to what you guys were saying about Vecna and the reveal, I think I fall somewhere in between. Like, I knew something was up, but I didn't put it together necessarily. And I think it's what's interesting, like the binge versus the weekly, right? I think this was like a weekly show. I think a lot of people put together that one is Vecna because you can kind of dissect and discuss and
Yeah.
digest what you're seeing in each
Agreed.
episode versus like when you're just going episode to episode, you're just kind of watching in
You're
real
just in
time and reacting and you're in it, right? So
Yeah.
it just happens, which is interesting because a lot
That-
of people have wondered, like, is Netflix ever going to get away from the pure binge mode and go to a weekly, and they do that for some of their like reality shows that they
Right,
do,
which makes
and other
sense.
shows where
Yeah.
they'll do, and even like with Stranger Things, right? They do like these batch drops almost. So it's interesting because, you know, does that extend the conversation around the show and the theorizing around the show and whatnot? And I think the whole one Vecna thing plays into that too.
I think it's interesting you bring up, you know, where this show is being distributed, which is Netflix. And Netflix is going through, I think, major growing pains right now. You know, Q1 of 2022, they announced for the first time, like, they lost a shit ton of subscribers. You know, there's discussions around how they're changing their subscription plan, the pricing of Netflix. Like, when I subscribed to Netflix back in college, way back, you know, a decade ago, when it was still DVDs, it was like $8, and like now I'm paying, I think, $25 or something. Like, it's gone up significantly.
That's the 300% increase.
Yeah, that's an insane increase for, like, you know, 10 years or whatever. So there's that, and then there's also like the discussion around sharing of passwords. Like, they tested it, I think, somewhere in some country in Europe, I think, where they're testing where you have to like verify or authorize a set number of devices in order to use Netflix, right? Like, you know, it's no surprise to anyone if I say we as a family, we all use my Netflix account, which is like we're connected to, I think, like, I was looking because you can see how many devices. I would just look for fun. There's something like
40.
Yeah, there's something like 40 devices connected to this one Netflix account. So it's it's interesting where like Netflix as a company is going through these growing pains. We still have one more season. Like, we have 2 more episodes coming for season 4, and then we have another season still coming at some point. We don't know when as of right now.
And then probably a spinoff.
And then maybe a spinoff for a movie.
Strangest Things.
But here's the thing too, like, as Netflix as a company is going through these growing pains, I'm curious to see, like, will they change the model, to Arjuna's point, to like a week to week? Will they do these batches? Will they make it a premium where you have to pay a little bit more, right, to get Stranger Things?
Will they do ads?
Will they do ads?
That's
like, there's like,
we know that they've been testing like
Yeah.
ad placement. They've never implemented it, but they've
so it's
tested it.
It's curious to see, like, you know, as a story of Stranger Things, is it going to be ruined because the company that holds the rights to it has to figure out ways to like monetize and make more off of it to like keep the company afloat, essentially? So I'm curious to see what does like a season 5 look like, or hell, like maybe in a really fucked up way, do we never get a season 5 because everything just goes under?
Wow.
Could you imagine? Oh God, that'd be
I
amazing.
feel like Netflix has enough valuable IP that even if it tanked all this, like, let's say like worst case scenario, they like went under.
Yeah.
Someone would buy it.
Yeah.
And that,
We've
like,
seen
at
it
least
before.
for the IP,
We've seen it before with other shows where another network.
Someone would buy
pick it
either
up.
the company or some of the, you know, the individual IPs to continue it. Like, you know, they have some popular shows. Like,
Here's a bold prediction: Netflix tanks. Elon Musk is a huge fan.
Oh,
He then goes on his buying spree and he buys the rights to Stranger Things, and then he decides I'm going to direct it and write it.
I will not be watching season 5.
I am 11. I am on Mars. Humanity will survive on Mars.
Have you ever watched?
He cast himself?
Have you ever watched the? So he did a episode of Rick and Morty.
Did he?
Yeah, where he plays like a Elon Tusk, not Elon Musk.
Well, he's done like a bunch of things where he's like played himself.
Yeah.
Like he was a lot in. I think he was in 2 episodes of The Big Bang Theory as himself.
Iron Man 3, 2.
Oh yeah, Iron Man 2. He's
Right.
in there. Yeah. Wow. I wish I was a billionaire now. I'm sad.
Home Alone 2. Oh, no, wait, that was Donald Trump.
Oh shit.
Boom.
Fuck. Let's get back to Stranger Things. Real quick. If you had, like, speaking on bold predictions here, this show has introduced a lot of lovable characters. It also has introduced a lot of situations.
Unlovable characters.
It has also introduced a lot of situations where, you know, not everyone should survive because logic dictates whatever and whatnot. If you had to guess, which character do you think is going to kind of
Kick the bucket.
kick the bucket and why?
Who wants to go first?
Yes. Christian is looking off the screen, so. Oh, Arjuna has a cat now.
Sorry, there's some black smoke off in the distance. So
what?
keeping an eye on that. I hear sirens.
Oh Jesus!
How far in the distance?
From a distance.
Looks like about half a mile.
Oh,
You're
then you're
fine.
fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Because she's like, I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
500 feet.
All of a sudden, the glass shatters.
There's not enough podcasts left for that to be a problem.
Christian, let
true,
us
that's
wrap,
true.
and then you can react.
Yeah.
Boom.
So wait, do you want me to pick a main character to die?
Yes.
I have one if you need time to think about it.
I have one too.
I'm gonna say I would say Max. Max would be my pick.
Interesting.
Because you would think she's safe now, right? Like they figured out how to keep her safe. She's faced the most immediate danger during this season. Her family's already suffered like so much tragedy.
Billy.
Billy,
Power Ranger with the blue Power
Red
Ranger's name.
He's gone. So to me, it would make. I could see the creators being like, okay, now we'll fake out the audience. Everyone thinks she's safe now, and then they'll kill her in the last episode. Boom. And then that gives Lucas and Dustin and all those guys a really strong grieving focal point for season 5.
Oh, so you think she's gonna go this season? Well, actually, yeah. I guess we should
Yes.
specify which character is going to go before this season ends.
Yeah, I thought, I think it would be this season, and then that would set up some crazy stuff in season 5.
I got a better one.
I think any pick is better than my pick.
I think they're going to pull a season 3 like they did with
no.
Hop. It's going to be 11.
They already did that in season 1.
They're going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
Oh shit!
2 times for the win, but this time I think they will realize, like they'll do it in such a way where we as the audience will be like, is she alive? Is she dead? Like it'll be like Grand Inquisitor style, I think, from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Breaks the
Damn.
continuity.
Just breaks the continuity, but there is no continuity. So
Or is there?
wait, like we've seen this story before?
I don't know.
Yes, this is
Just
the story
making
of
stuff up now.
Pocahontas. No, that's Avatar.
Avatar 2.
But I do think like either this season or next season, like I think the character of 11, I don't think she's gonna make it out, and I think she's gonna give the ultimate sacrifice. I think that's okay too, because that makes it kind of not worth it, but it kind of like makes sense for her character and her character's arc.
I have a different theory for 11.
Oh, let's hear it then.
I think 11's the ultimate bat of the show.
I mean, she did start the Upside Down based on my theories.
Yeah, I just I think my theory took a pretty big hit with the final episode, but everything I had seen up until then almost felt like she was just Breaking Bad, right? If you even think about like the implication that she was the one that behind the massacre, what she did to the girl at the rink, right, when she like loses control, it just felt like she was kind of descending and losing control, and then also like taking her away from all of her friends and loved ones and putting her by herself with Brenner. I'm like, this is just going to push her bad, and it still could, right? Like they might deal with Vecna, but now she potentially becomes uncontrollable and kind of like crazy.
But we've seen that in
Power
season
crazy.
2 when she was all emo.
Well, she was with Hopper. She wasn't like.
Was that season 2? Yeah, when she was with the runaway kids.
Yeah, that was season 2. It was just one episode.
Those
That's never been referenced.
yeah, I was gonna say we're having all those kids.
They're fine. But the person I do think that is going to die this season is Steve.
Don't say
No,
that. Steve is
not
such a
Steve.
great character.
And the reason I say is because a bunch of bats, bit into his skin in the Upside Down, and we know the Upside Down, not the best hygiene there for those creatures. And I feel like anytime we've seen people attacked by Upside Down things, it always leads to bad things. So I just feel like he's gonna get like eggs in his stomach, and then maybe alien, and something will just
Stop saying
burst
it.
through
I have
him.
this weird. So we have like black widows in the backyard, like spiders. I have this weird irrational
God.
fear right now
Chill
that
down my spine.
they're putting eggs in my body when I sleep. So don't say that.
Don't worry, Metatron will eat the eggs.
He'll eat me.
He'll eat you.
Yeah, there you go.
He'll give you like probably a day, and then he'll eat you.
Nice.
I think it's 3 days.
Let's
3
real
or
quick.
5.
So the last time we talked about Stranger Things was our 49th episode, which was literally forever ago.
Almost 170 episodes ago.
Like, it was forever ago. But we made some really interesting bold predictions back then. By interesting, I mean weak. They were weak.
Oh.
And
We
I'll
were bad at bold
start with
predictions.
mine. Mine was Hopper is alive. If I could backhand
Nailed
myself in
it.
the past, I would.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
hey,
what do you mean? You
I
were
was
right.
I was right. But we knew he was alive, post
we didn't actually definitively. It wasn't until the first teaser dropped when they like actually showed it. But I think
yeah.
most people were like, he's probably not.
Yeah,
dead.
there was no way he was going to be dead. Krishna, you had said something interesting. You said they come together to take down the evil.
Nailed it.
What?
I don't know.
We were really bad at bold predictions.
Were we just like scared of making real bold predictions in our early days?
I think so.
Probably.
Because
Now we
that
go
is
crazy.
awful.
And then Arjuna's was even better. Show will take place outside of Hawkins, Indiana.
Nailed it.
Wow, we really suck.
Wow. We were so young and dumb.
Bold prediction. Well,
Wait,
I
you
mean, they're
guys
all right. They're all
nailed
right.
every prediction.
It's true.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
stop.
We,
Not
we
bold.
definitely. They're
They're
not
not
that
bold.
bold. So, guys.
Wait, is bold
Yeah.
supposed to be wrong?
Yeah, kind
I mean, bold is.
of.
think that's what it's
bold
evolved
implies that
into.
it's probably wrong.
Yeah.
I think-
it's-
Because
I
it's
we've
going
ev-
to be bold.
I think we've evolved into our bold predictions are just as weird and off the
like,
wall as
out
possible.
Yeah.
there as like
It's supposed to be fun.
like
not
Darth Vader
necessarily
shows
right.
up, and maybe it's Darth Vader Lego figure or something. Because like this is the '80s, so Darth Vader is around.
They go to space for season 5.
Well, so here's the thing. So here's the thing. Because we have 2 episodes left for season 4, I don't want to hear your like season 5 bold predictions because we're gonna obviously do a wrap pod on all of season 4.
No,
with those
I
twos.
don't want to.
So I want to hear your season, the last 2 episodes of season 4 for Stranger Things. It's going to drop sometime. I think it's July 1st.
is
Yeah.
when it drops.
So just July 4th weekend, which is great. They're each going to be like an hour and a half long, so like 3 hours more of content, or something. So I want to hear your bold predictions for these last 2 episodes. And again, remember, let's be crazy here. They don't have to be about the show. They can be about how Arjuna reacts to the show because those are always fun. Just Arjuna specifically, by the way.
Yeah, no one else.
No one else. But anyway, Christian, kick us off. What's your bold prediction?
I gotta be bold here. Fuck it. Okay, yeah. So those bats did some damage on Steve. Steve doesn't die though. Steve becomes a permanent foot soldier of Vecna. And he will be one of the main bads, and therefore the consequences of that will be he'll be a main bad in season 5. But he will turn and be a foot soldier.
So
for
we'll see
Vecna.
So you're saying we'll see the turn in the last 2 episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
And he will actively fight against our heroes.
I don't know why, but when you said that, the image that stuck in my mind was Hayden Christensen being like, "Yes, my master."
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
episode 3.
Nailed it. That's exactly what
Star Wars is everywhere. June, do you have a bold prediction? I still think Christian was a little light, but that's fine.
Okay, hear me out on this.
All right, hearing you out.
The season will end with them figuring out that the Upside Down can be used to time travel, and season 5 will just be time travel.
Okay, I did say when I started my bold prediction statement, I said, "Give me the last 2
I
episodes."
said that's why I said
I know.
at the end of season 4, they discover that the Upside Down is like a time travel machine.
But
And then
I
they're
want.
going to time travel to save the world.
But I wanna-
like that's what it's going to lead. Like season 4 will lead.
So
into
you're
that,
saying that in the last 2 episodes we'll get some kind of time travel reference?
or like direct confirmation that time travel exists, and they're gonna
Not that we'll see time travel.
I'm going to say we're going to see a little bit in the last episode.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah,
That's better.
Yeah.
To make it work, you would have to
Again,
see it.
I started it by saying I want to see what you think is going to happen
And-
in these last 2
And
episodes.
the Doc is alive.
And the Doc? What Doc?
Back to the Future, where he's like, "The Doc's alive."
Oh, gotcha. I was like, I was thinking like a dock for boats. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like,
Marty
are you
McFly
talking about
will
Dustin
show up.
Hoffman's character because he's not a doctor.
What year did Back to the Future come out?
84? 86? It was the 80s, I think.
So it's out
Maybe.
within the
Strange.
The
This
Stranger
one's-
Things world?
This is 84. That Stranger Things.
No, 86 is
86.
the current year they're in.
Oh, okay. 'Cause it's been a year between season 3 and 4, right? It's been 1 year.
It's like a little less than a year. I think it was like the summer, and now it's like March, April.
I thought it was a year, but
they say a year, but it's like been like 9 months.
that's a year.
So it's about a year.
Yeah, it's about a
That's why they say it's been about a year.
So
'Cause it's like spring break.
my bold prediction for the last 2 episodes of season 4,
We get another 2 episodes.
11 is going to kill one of the originals.
When you say originals,
Either Dustin, Lucas, Mike,
Or Will?
or Will. She's going to kill one of them.
you know they
Which
add-
one?
oh,
Which
hold on,
one? Which one? Which one?
She's going to kill Mike.
Nice.
And it's going to be and I think it will be an accident. And
Oh.
she's going to like essentially kill him in order to like save the world. That's my bold
Save the
prediction.
cheerleader, save the world.
Exactly.
Heroes.
Remember that weird show?
I don't think I ever
Oh,
watched
man.
it.
Oh, real quick, guys. We didn't talk on this, but I was wondering the whole season. What's up with Will?
He's the big bad of the whole thing.
Some
Remember all the
pe- some
worms
people
came
do
out of his
theorize
face? Yeah, from season 1, I
Yeah.
assumed he was the big bad.
that. Yeah.
No, I mean, in the context of this season, I mean, he might be, but in the context of this season, he's dealing with some personal stuff. It seems like. So, what is that personal stuff?
So some people theorize that Will is struggling with his sexuality
Right.
within this season. And the very first episode, when 11 is writing Mike a letter, she's like, Will's been weird. He's like painting a picture of a crush that I wonder who it is. And when Mike comes to the airport, he has the picture rolled up. And then Mike is just kind of distant to him, and he's a little hurt. And then Mike's like, what's that? And he's like, it's nothing. And then even the interactions they have when 11 is still there, Will is like, we used to be best friends. He's like, what about me? When like he references 11 as Mike references 11 as his girlfriend. So people think that Will is potentially in love with Mike. And
Okay, cool.
I think even like with the absence of Team California in the 6th episode, I think that storyline potentially will be more important in the last 2 episodes, and some of that will
Absolutely.
potentially come into play. Especially if everyone missed his birthday.
And the reason I bring that up is that Ravi's theory about 11 accidentally killing Mike, because
Nice.
that's the
I
impression
nailed
that
it.
I was getting as well.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to come into play and maybe be a cause
A
or
love
reason
triangle.
or
That would be kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Like jealousy.
Yeah. jealousy. Yeah,
Jealousy.
jealousy is a thing. So,
Jealousy is
and
a
they're
thing.
young and
Yep.
yeah.
Young
So
and
that's why
stupid.
I'm like maybe 11 killing Will makes more sense.
Or does Will take the power of the Upside Down
Oh yeah, he has been there.
and
The
then
Mind Flayer has taken him over in season
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Damn.
there's been so many creatures I can't even remember.
Well,
them all.
so what's interesting? So Dustin always does like the exposition dump.
Yes,
within
that's
the
his
season,
role.
and he explains it. With D&D, that's how we get the D&D terms. He has a line in this season where he's like, "We don't even know if Vecna is connected to the Mind Flayer," and I think he calls like the Mind Flayer like the big bad of
Right,
like,
and
the
he says that
Upside Down.
Vecna is the foot soldier.
A foot
or
soldier, like
the
a 5-star general. Like
Yeah.
they're like, if the Demogorgon was
That's
was
right.
a foot,
Foot
soldier,
soldier.
that's the 5-star general. Do we think the Mind Flayer is going to come into play for these last 2 episodes, or is that going to be saved for, in theory, the last season?
I still feel like Vecna is so
Big
like
bad.
if like we don't really understand the Upside Down
Right.
all that well. Like
Sure.
again, to my theory that the Upside Down was kind of created because 11 pushed 1 in there, and then now this space was like, I'm going to become the Upside Down because fuck it. So then I guess like if this space or this dimension is inhabited by something, and this something is the Mind Flayer, I guess, or the thing, right?
Right.
Then that would be like the big bad. Again, I don't necessarily want that to happen because I like the idea of like it coming from our world as opposed to it being like
I think the Mind Flayer. What's interesting is like Vecna is from our world. I think
Right.
the Mind Flayer is something or someone that
I
we've
just-
seen.
Something just occurred to me actually. When Nancy discovers her journal, and it's from 5 years ago, is that from when Vecna got ejected into the Upside Down?
No, it's 70. I think it's 79. That massacre is in 1979.
So 7 years
and
ago.
what's the current year? Oh,
86.
86.
And then Will
Gotcha.
disappeared in 83.
Yep.
Sorry, Krishna, but
Gotcha.
something also to consider with all the D&D parallels is that the Mind Flayer is not the ultimate bad guy of the Mind Flayer. They have one thing above them that controls them all.
Ooh, well, there we go.
11.
Mind Flayer God.
An elder brain.
Ooh.
So basically,
elder
what
brain.
I'm hearing
It's
is
like
that
Star Fox 64, right? You can fight, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
face
When you kill
Andros,
Andros.
Yeah.
but if
Yeah.
you go
He
the
turns into a
hard
brain.
path, you fight the brain.
The elder brain is all Mind Flayers who have ever been in one giant brain, and they all turn in, like they all give themselves to the brain when they die.
God, I just got like a huge chill down my spine.
Maybe there's some like factualness to like D&D in like real life. Oh god.
Ooh.
Okay, the big bad is the jock guy that was introduced in this season.
No, the
Oh,
big
man, I
bad
hate
is the
that
new
dude.
sheriff or the new the new sheriff. He's the big bad.
No,
Has been the whole time.
That doesn't make sense.
it's Mike and Nancy's little sister.
There you go. Boom.
But also, Vecna has nothing to do with Mind Flayers. He's a lich, so it
Yeah.
doesn't seem they might not be connecting everything.
To
on-
the-
on
Or
D&D lore.
but yeah, it's really interesting because it seems like it could go one of two ways, right?
Right.
Did Vecna create the
Upside
upside
down.
down as we know it, or is he a product of the upside down and what's already there? You know, like the Mind Flayers or whatever. Like, was he even more corrupted and given more powers because of that? So it'll be these last two episodes will be very illuminating. I hope.
I think the psychic
Like
power.
prison.
I think the psychic power stuff is interesting too, right? So
Yeah.
as we're introduced in the flashback with the Creels at the home, when he was a kid, he developed his psychic powers on his own,
Right.
and then he was sent to Brenner, who made him a one, and then you got these other kids who
Also,
had psychic powers.
real quick,
and it's
respect for Brenner for doing his own tattoo work.
I mean, it's all uniform and pretty. Like,
it's really
pretty,
good.
It's
Like
pretty well done.
tattooing is hard. Like, was Brenner a tattoo artist
Do you
before
think
he became?
Modine? Do you think Modine went full method and like trained to be a tattoo artist for 6 months and just like did the whole?
Yes.
Now he's like a professional
real
tattoo. He has his
tattoo.
own like parlor and everything.
Why not? I mean,
But
yeah.
the implication I got, maybe I'm misreading this, especially with the age difference between like 1 and 2, right? Is that Brenner like siphoned whatever special psychic powers that one has, and then all of these other kids, because it seems like they were taken when they were very young, were potentially like genetically modified into having these psychic powers. So it's like one is kind of the godfather, and then there's a connection to the upside down. So especially with like Vecna being one, is there further connections with the Brenner tests and everything to like the Mind Flayer and everything else that kind of comes from the upside down?
So you think Brenner kind of created the upside down to a degree?
Well, maybe if it is 11, like is 11 the Mind Flayer? Is there like, is she somehow connected directly, even more so, to the Mind Flayer? Because they have the battle, right, and then the connection and the fight in like season 2, and the Mind Flayer is looking specifically at her because she's like the power source and can open and close it. So in theory, she's like the most powerful thing in our reality, and the Mind Flayer is the most powerful thing in the upside down, at least what we understand of everything, right? So if the season proves that there are actual connections between our world and that world, is there more of a connection there?
Oh, I see what you're saying. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe.
Interesting. We will ponder it now in silence.
You too, listening, ponder a moment.
Ponder
We
with
will
us.
take
away.
a 30-minute dead air right now to just ponder. Do not pause. Just
No, this is
play through it.
no. Let's
Don't
get
fast forward.
Let's get to the big important question here. The whole reason we do these podcasts.
Was it scary?
Was my shirt good for the pod?
No.
No.
Fuck you both.
Absolutely, it was.
Thank you, Michael. Fuck you too, idiots. Anyway,
Idiots.
I went first last time, so Christian, you go first this time.
Yay! Ravi was volume 1. What?
You're like it looked like you yawned as you went. Yay!
I think it was like half yawn, half like.
I'm sorry, we're
celebration.
boring you.
Hey, the smoke is gone. If anyone cares, so that's good.
Great.
Ravi, was Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 4 good?
The fact that I was able to marathon it in 3 days because I wanted to proves that it was good.
I think
Wow.
it proves that it was really good at being bad.
At being bad. No, it was definitely good. I very much enjoyed it. I'm very excited to see the last 2 episodes. Whenever I will actually make popcorn for those 2. So,
Oh wait, we should do our qualifiers. What would make season 4 part 2 bad? We can do it after we do the game.
oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Arjuna, was season 4, the first 7 episodes, part 1/volume 1, good?
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it. I think like Krishna, but like both of you and like many people, there's been such a long gap between seasons 3 and 4. You kind of forgot about the show and was just like, do I still care about this? It's been so long, you know, and whatnot. And then you're right back into it from episode 1, and they did a really good job. I really did enjoy it. So, yes, it was good. Krishna, was Vecna scary to you?
No.
And was season 4 part 1 good?
Yeah, it was really good. And yeah, like you said, it pulls you right back in. Lots of good compelling stuff. I like how consistent the look and feel of the world is. You know, like some shows, season to season thing, there are inconsistencies in the look and the feel. The show does not have that problem, and that really helps you get right back into it. So yeah, really good stuff. Can't wait for the last 2 episodes. It's going to be great.
And what would make it bad?
Your qualifier for part 2.
What would make it bad is if they got rid of the intro theme song. They just don't play that song anymore. I never skip over the song.
Really?
It's
I
part
skip
of-
over it every time.
It's part of getting into the world, like that
Yeah.
heavy, the heavy synth and the beats and the red with the titles. I'm like, it just helps get you into that world. So if for whatever reason either of those 2 last episodes don't play the theme song, it would automatically become bad.
Damn.
Pretty intense. Mine's going to be if they kill Steve, I will quit the show.
Wow.
I almost said that.
Like no, flat out, like if they get if Steve like actually dies, and if he dies in a stupid way,
Stupid.
I am done with the show. I won't watch season 5. You'll have to replace me. I swear to God.
Yeah, Ravi. What if he dies of like rabies, like a rabies?
Oh my
attack?
God! I'd punch the TV. I'd be buying a new TV. I would take, as Arjuna said, I'll take my new MacBook Pro and throw it at the TV. I'm really
Which
mad
screen
about
breaks
the
if
iPad.
you do that?
What about you, Arjuna? What would make it bad?
I think if they just like introduced a whole bunch of new characters like in these last 2 episodes, and they became
Umbrella Academy.
like
Gotcha.
really, really like key and important all of a sudden, that would be a little jarring. Like, let's at least just invest in the characters they've introduced this season.
Gotcha.
Would be great.
Nice.
That's my qualifier.
That's a good qualifier. I think mine makes the most sense though.
Steve. Death.
You know what it
Yeah.
is about? Real quick, I'll say what it is about Steve. It's the hair.
Did you know
He has great hair.
the actor that plays Steve is my age?
Wow. What have you?
So this is his last episodes of Stranger Things before he's 30.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's true.
crazy. Arjuna, you should get on his regimen with skincare.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Feels nice.
It's fine. I've been
man.
doing this eye thing under my eyes to get rid of the bags, but then I realized maybe I should
That's
just
where they
sleep more.
went.
To get rid of the eyes. It's true.
My eyes.
My eyes. Hey, thank you for listening to this podcast. Was it good? As always, you can find us more. You can find more of us. That makes more sense grammatically on the internet at the Twitters at Was It Good, on TikTok and Instagram at Was It Good Pod, on YouTube, youtube.com/wasitgood, and definitely check out our website, wasitgood.info, for blog posts, random pictures, and full audio and visual presentations of this pod.
And Ravi's written letters to creators of shows. Please write the creator of Stargate Universe and beg him to come back for season 2 or 3.
Season three.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I would cry if that was announced. I just start
Would
rolling
it?
my eyes
Would
out.
it make sense at this point?
No, nobody cares about Stargate except me, and the convention in Chicago once a year.
I need to see how Universes ends.
Oh boy, we have a lot to discuss when you watch it.
Oh, I've seen it. They
Gotcha.
cut it off right when they went into cryostasis.
That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah, that's
I
last
need
one.
to know what
Cliffhanger,
happens.
Yeah. We need.
Did they ever do maybe they did novel or something?
No, there's nothing.
No.
There's literally
Thanks.
nothing. Anyway, goodbye. Our next pod will be in a week or so. Again, follow us on the social medias to figure out when and where. Good day.